The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of that. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throbbing my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too evil and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty.
Earnestly Speaking podcast, emergency edition of the podcast. We have breaking news about a little under, it makes it a little over, I guess, a little under 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago now. We got the word down. Joe Biden, the current president of the United States, will not be seeking re-election. He has stopped his campaign. Joe Biden, in a letter, as I put on the screen right now, it was leaked to the press. He said the following: "My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs for seniors, and in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. We've provided critically needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances, passed the first gun safety law in 30 years, appointed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court, and passed the most significant climate legislation in the history of the world. America has never been better positioned to lead than we are today. I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people. Together, we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic and the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We protected and preserved our democracy, and we revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so hard to see me reelected. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all of this work. And let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust you have placed in me. I believe today what I always have, that there is nothing America can't do when we do it together. We just have to remember we are the United States of America." That was Joe Biden's letter to the nation as he announced that he will not be seeking re-election. He is no longer running for president. In fact, he is actually, after that, people, when saw that letter, thought like, oh, so no endorsement anybody. Well, it did come out about minutes later that he has officially endorsed Kamala Harris as to run for president in his place, which is very important because, as I've been saying for weeks, and honestly, I want to say, told you so, but I'm going to anyway because number one, didn't I tell you guys Sunday's going to happen? I told y'all Sundays was going to happen. I said, Sunday, this will happen. And today, we're recording this what? On a Sunday? If I announce when the church started, Sunday, July 21st. Interesting. I'm going to say, I'm going to read what I said again about this situation with Biden. And obviously, we like or dislike Biden mostly through partisan lines, of course. I think he's done a decent job as president. I believe in a lot of legislation he has signed off on, personally. I'm a center-left guy, so a lot of things he's signed off on I believe in. There's things he's dropped the ball on, obviously, too. I was one of the ones saying, as far back as the midterms, 18 months ago, after the 2022 midterms, saying that Joe Biden should not won for election. And quite frankly, it was just me. It was me. It was Mark Francois on this podcast, who was just on this show last week. We all said that when the red wave didn't happen, I was afraid that was a signal that Joe Biden might have been viable to run for re-election, which I warned that very same day that was still a bad sign, that Joe Biden should not run for re-election. So the debate, all the pressure came after the debate that happened close to a month now. But what did I say to you guys? The debate didn't confirm anything for me. What the debate did for me is it only reaffirmed my position on that Joe Biden should run for re-election. And now we're here. He did, like I say, he did endorse Kamala Harris. Obviously, something convention coming up in a couple of weeks. And look, I'm open to the idea of open convention. But I also know the most prudent decision to go here is to go Kamala, because the war chest that they have fundraised on for these 3.5 years is only transferable to Kamala Harris, no one else. So that is the more prudent decision. I know that there is a lot of a desire for in the party to do open convention at the convention and have the delegates select their own nominee for president to go up against Donald Trump in November. Kamala, I'm not a fan personally, but I've been on record that saying that for a couple of years. But I will say she's the better choice right now at this point in terms of optics. I know a lot of folks think she does a lot of word salad stuff. She does that a lot, but she hasn't done it recently, actually. But I will say in terms of optics now, she would definitely in a debate at least be on par with Donald Trump. Now, who wins that? That's up to you guys. It's up to the American people how they decide that. Again, you're a lot of these things are beauty pageants, what you call it. I don't like it that way. But at least Kamala Harris is coherent. I think, first off, and we saw last week, it was announced that Donald Trump, just like J.D. Vance's vice presidential running mate, that didn't matter, honestly. The VP thing didn't matter this time for Trump because, honestly, Trump is a made man. Anybody wanting that ticket, Trump is the one that's going to shift the conversation no matter what. I do think, however, whoever Kamala Harris selects as her running mate, that can have a massive impact on the election as a whole. Assuming Kamala Harris is the official nominee after the convention. So obviously here at Pete Buttigieg, he's been on TV a lot the last couple days, especially too. He was on Bull Maher, which I was watching right now. So he's another option. He's an option there. Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania, in a very to me the battleground state of battleground states in this election. That would be a huge pick for her. If she's going that route. Josh Shapiro, very moderate Democrat, very popular in that state. Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, another state that's up for grabs, and especially when you talk about the Gaza issue and the amount of Arab Americans in that state. Joe Biden won that state by 10,000 votes in 2020. The lot of Arab Americans not very happy with Joe Biden because of the issue in Gaza, which may create some voter apathy come November. We'll see. That can be a situation where if Kamala picks her, you have like 2 females on a ticket now, which would be the first time ever we've seen that here in America. It can't be Gavin Newsom because Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris both from the same state, so that's not likely to happen. There's other Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky, is another option for the Democrats. Of course, he is I believe he's a 2-term governor now in a very red state in Kentucky. So that's another thing, something to look at also too. But yeah, I think unlike the Trump side, where the VP doesn't really matter because Trump is head and shoulders the face of that party, and no matter what happens, no matter who you picked, it would have been okay on that end. I do think the VP pick on the Democratic side could be a game changer. Could be, especially with the states that I believe this election is going to come down 3 states: Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. And Democrats have to win those states, or else Trump wins the election, and that's it. Donald Trump did respond to the news of Joe Biden's exit. Here's Joe Biden's. Donald Trump's response on Truth Social. As you see on the screen here, Crooked Joe Biden. I want to do it in his voice probably, is the worst president by far in the history of our nation. He has done everything possible to destroy our country, from our southern border to energy dominance, national security, international standing, and so much more. He was annihilated in an earth-shattering debate, and now the corrupt and radical Democrats are throwing him overboard. He was not fit to serve from the very beginning, but the people around him lied to America about his complete and total mental, physical, and cognitive demise. Whoever left puts up now will just be more of the same. Make America great again. That was Donald Trump on Truth Social today, responding to the news of Joe Biden's exit from the race. Hey, listen, you're a Trump supporter. You know, I will say, in terms of the numbers and data, obviously polling is definitely, you know, you can believe it, don't believe it, that's fine. In recent weeks, Kamala Harris has polled better than Joe Biden against Trump. Now, that being said, Trump in all these battleground states still leads, but Harris is actually in the margin of error. So, if you are to use that data as something, the Democrats made the right choice here. I believe they made the right choice here. I think that anybody right now but Joe Biden at this point was the way to go. But again, I've been saying this for 18 months now. Everybody else has been doing this. It's been all of a sudden coming out with this in the last month. And it saddens me that it took donors cutting off money from the campaign for reality to set in. That's what bothered me. It took the donors, which sucks because again, the donors don't necessarily represent American people. Donors represent corporate America and all this stuff, and you know that's a whole another rabbit hole, obviously. But I do think this will energize the Democratic base, especially with who she picks as VP on this. It should definitely energize the base because there's been a lot of infighting over the course of the last few months. There's a lot of Democrats who have been very unhappy with Joe Biden, and I almost say don't have to do with Joe Biden, but it's more so the fear of Trump and then all this direction to go into party and all that. So there's been a lot of that going on. So this should at least energize the base, in my opinion. Now, I am still skeptical about who wins the race. I still think Trump will win the race right now. But I think Kamala Harris, for the most part, makes this race a toss-up in a sense because some polling came out this past week. Donald Trump didn't get as big a big bump in the polls assassination attempt. He got a small one, but not as big as I thought it would be. He's still very unpopular. Like he's popular in the party. Like people say, "Well, he's not popular." Well, he's popular in the party, but from the world, from America at large, he's not popular. He's still polling in the low to mid 40s. That's still danger zone territory. Now, Joe Biden was polling. Who rating is in the 30s. So obviously, Trump, you know, would lead there, of course, and he had led all the background states at this point too, also. But I think with Kamala Harris and whoever she picks as VP could actually bring those numbers a little closer. And I think with Democrats it's a little more complicated because it's not just Trump, it's also the Gaza issue and voter apathy that we're about. But if she can energize the base and maybe say the Americans in Michigan are a little more energized and are gonna vote for Kamala, if that is the case, we'll see. But that can be something to look forward to. Like I said, Democrats have a lot more holes, a lot more challenges to get through. But I think moving forward, Joe Biden was the right thing to do, in my opinion. So there's that. So we'll know more in the week when Joe Biden speaks again, when the convention comes out, who she picks. Word is right now that they're already starting to look at people to run with her. I would say my favorite would be Josh Shapiro. I would go that route since Pennsylvania is the state of states that they need to win this election. Look, Democrats have no path. If they don't win Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, they're dead in the water. Okay. But let's see what happens to other states too. Also, that were battlegrounds in 2020. Does Georgia get back in play now? Does Nevada get back in play? Does Arizona get back in play? That's the question. So we'll see how that plays out. But as you know, Biden's out. Kamala likely in. I mean, obviously she's going to do her thing and whatever, but that's not official until the convention, and there could be some potential chaos still to come, but it looks like it's going to be Kamala Harris as the Democrat nominee for President of the United States, and that's that. So, again, Emerging Podcasts. I was going to do a podcast about other stuff later today, but you know what? I'll solve that till Tuesday. So plan on recording. Again, Twitter, EJ Christian 7, X, of course, and youtube.com/Earnest Christian YouTube page. Please subscribe. And we'll talk soon. I'm going to go back to my kids and enjoy the rest of the Sunday. Take care, guys.